Hello, my sewing friends. I hope today finds you very well and happy in your sewing, and I thought I would share with you my July makes. I had a lot of stops and starts in July, a lot of really challenging things that I was working on, and I didn't really finish a lot of them, but they're still in process, and so I did finish some things that turned out really cute. I will tell you this. The struggles that I had with sewing in July kind of led into the first couple of weeks of August, which were my big trip to Europe. I'd never been to the UK. I'd never really had a desire to go to the UK, and now I can't wait to get back. I'd never been to mainland Europe, and so I went to Italy. And I can tell you this, I've traveled a lot. I've been to St. Petersburg, Russia. I've been to South Korea. I've been to everywhere in the US. It feels like Alaska, Hawaii, the Caribbean, Canada, Mexico, and everywhere in between. And I've never had such a difficult time traveling as I did this last trip. I mean, it was just started out with delays that made me miss connections, which put me back a day leaving, and then I wasn't going to leave until the next day until I begged to be put on a flight, and I did get there, but my luggage didn't for 2 days. So I ended up missing 2 days that I was going to spend with friends in the UK, and that was really disappointing. And then I got to Italy, and Rome was so oppressively hot and lots of steps, and you can't really get out of the heat into air conditioning. And there was one day when my body just said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm done. I just thought, okay. And I even had an Italian policeman yell at me. I had stopped to buy some talcum powder to put in my tennis shoes because I wasn't wearing socks, and I just felt like my feet needed to slide around a little bit, and he blew his whistle at me. Put your shoes back on. I thought, okay. Anyway, ultimately what this trip taught me was that, you can love your children, you can get along great with your children, be good friends with your adult children, but that doesn't mean that they make good traveling companions, especially when they're just like you, and it feels like you're talking to yourself. So, yeah, that was just a tough lesson. And I ended up leaving Venice early, a couple of days early, and I had had such a bad time of it up to that point that I was ready for more trouble, leaving, early, rescheduling my flight from Venice back to London. And British Airways treated me like a queen. Oh, I was like, oh, finally. And then one of the friends that I had missed initially in the UK, I got back in touch with her, and I said, my plans have changed. I'm going to be in London. I'm hoping to go home because I was just going to go home. But she said, no, come to York. I'm so glad I did. Best part of the trip. I spent 2.5 days with her. It was wonderful. And then I tried to go home, and it's problem after problem with airlines, and lost my passport, got it back right away, but crisis averted. But oh my gosh, I was never so glad to get home in all my life. So anyway, I'm here to talk about sewing and not about travels. But I have to tell you that, that was kind of July. July was a real test in terms of how are you going to meet this challenge? How are you going to solve the problem? Boy, I did that a lot. So I will start with Simplicity 8294. This is a Gertrude made pattern, and I had done it before in one of the different views. The view I had done before had 2 pleats in the skirt, more of an A-line skirt. This had a gathered skirt and sleeves. So I put it together, made the sleeves, gathered the skirt, put it on, hated the sleeves. So I took those off, and I made some changes to this pattern the first time, and I did the same thing this time as well, where it didn't have a center back seam. So I created one and put the zipper up the center back rather than the side seam, which is what it calls for. And then I put in pockets. That's why I put in the back, the center back seam. So it's an easy change to make. And it, like I say, afforded me the ability to put in the side seam pockets. Well, I got it done, and I didn't like it. So I took the skirt off and I pleated it. Just put pleats all the way around, and I didn't like that. So then I pleated it a different way, and I didn't like that. So I took the skirt off again. And I gathered it again, and I thought, all right, I'm just going to work with it. I did add a contrasting band to the hemline. It's about a 3-inch band that matches the little belts. That really spiffed it up, I thought. So while I like this dress a lot, I think it's a little young for me. And I think that's the problem with why I don't like the way it looks on me. So I can pass it along to one of my girls. I'll have to make it markedly smaller, but that's okay. You know, that's not a big deal. I can easily do that, especially since it's got that center back seam. So all in all, it's a cute make. It's a cute pattern. I'm not sure it's for me, but it turned out really well. And that was Simplicity 8294. Vogue 9050. I had some issues with this pattern in the past, and it was my fault because I overfitted it. I think sometimes you can fuss around with the fitting too much that you really lose the integrity of the design. So I made this out of a blue and white seersucker, which was a wonderful fabric to work with. It's a fabric that's been around for a long time, many, many years. It's kind of like muslin. It's one of those staple fabrics that you can find in any fabric store. So I had gotten mine at Hobby Lobby, and I put it together. I was not going to line it, so I was only going to line the bodice. But the trouble is, this dress has a panel down the front, so if you don't line the entire bodice, or if you only line the top part of that panel, it's obvious. So I lined it, put it on, realized that, thought, that will not do. So I took the bodice lining out, and I also took apart the side seams, which I had sewn and serged, because I forgot I wanted to put side seam pockets in it. So I got some lining fabric, just some cotton, lightweight cotton, and made a full lining for it. And then I finished the armholes with a binding that I made, a bias binding that I made from the seersucker. And then when I went to sew them on, I thought, I don't want to top stitch this dress because it just doesn't, it's gonna change the look of it, and I don't want that. So I sat and hand stitched that facing down. I hand stitched the zipper to the lining, and I hand stitched the hem. So as much as I hate hand stitching, I really do, it is the bane of my sewing existence, it was worth it for this dress because I'm so pleased with the way it turned out. I wore it with a little jeans jacket when I was in London, and it was perfect. So cute. So I'm really happy with it. I think it was worth all the trouble, and I will never make this again, I can tell you that, but I'm really glad that I tried it again after giving up on it the first time years ago, and came back to it. So yeah, that was Vogue 9050. Simplicity 8640 is a dress. It's my ultimate sundress this year, and I had previously made this from a rayon challis, and then I had some more rayon challis in my stash. I talked about this when I was planning all of the things for July, and I used this beautiful peach and coral kind of a tropical print. It has sand dollars and seashells, and it turned out beautifully. I am so pleased. This dress is so flowy, and it moves. It was cool. I wore it in Rome, and when I was stifling hot, and it was the day that the policeman yelled at me, actually. He blew his whistle. They all walk around blowing whistles there. So it just turned out beautifully. I love the dress. This time I didn't do patch pockets. I did inseam pockets on the sides, lots of pockets. But love this pattern. Cannot recommend it highly enough. I love the way that the bodice is done in the front so that it gives it some shape without being fitted. So love that. Simplicity 8640. Butterick 6653 was a refashion that I did. I got this dress at Goodwill, and I really liked it. I loved the colors of it. And it was a border print, and I thought, you know what? I bet I could work with that border, and that would leave me the whole top of the dress with, that fabric and maybe I can do something with it. So I worked with it with Butterick 6653, and I started from the bottom and worked up. And I'm not terribly happy with the way that that band at the top, it's like a yoke at the top of the on the neckline. I'm not sure that I like the way it fits or feels. It's not terribly comfortable, but at the same time, it turned out so pretty. I'm really pleased with it. So a lot of the work was done for me in terms of the hemline, so I didn't have to do that. It's a little tricky on the back when you go to put that little keyhole neckline in because the way it's wrapped. But, you know, I think if you just pay attention and you ask a lot of questions, if you're a beginner and you try it, then I think you'll get it. I don't think it's that hard, but you really did have to pay a little bit of attention. So, again, that was Butterick 6653. In my plans video, I talked about a Vogue pattern, Vogue 1251, and I really wanted to change it up, and I did. And I got it done, and it didn't fit, which is why I'm not showing it to you right now. I have it on my lap, it's right here. I did top stitch all of the style lines, and they just turned out really nicely. I'm really happy with that. But the way this goes together, it's not a problem to put it together, but it's a problem trying to get it to fit for my body. I had trouble with it because I put it together and then tried it on and realized I hadn't made the adjustment that I always make with an empire waist. So I did that. I added about an inch because that's what it's my standard thing that I do. And I also usually need to take some fullness out of the front arm side. I don't know why that is. I've never heard of anybody having to do that, but apparently I do because I've run into this problem over and over. So I didn't do that, and I wasn't going to line it, and I got it together, and well, I recut that bodice and put it back together again, and then I thought, this needs a lining. It calls for a lining anyway, but I wasn't going to line it. So I had some fabric in my stash, just used that. It's a like a mustard gold, which is beautiful. It really complements the navy really well. And put it all back together again, and then realized that it still doesn't fit. So I put it on. I was thinking it was too small, so I tried it back on again, and you know what? I need to do some things to it to make it fit. But I wanted to tell you about it because I had talked about it, and I thought it was really going to be spectacular, and I still think that it will. I think it just needs a little bit of adjusting. So I'll show that to you probably in my August makes because I think by then I'll have it done. So although I didn't get everything finished in July that I tried, I got everything mostly finished. Let me know what you made in July. Did you run into any problems? Did everybody have this problem? Like, was it something in the water? I don't know. Speaking of water, if you ever go to Rome and you worry about being able to get water and you're thinking you're going to have to spend money on bottles of water, take a bottle of water or buy one and then keep refilling it. They have these fountains all over the place, and they're all just flowing with water, and Rome's water is really good. So yeah, something to remember. So that's it for now for me. I am so happy to be home, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.